Okay. last night, last night I went out with a group of friends of mine, and we were gonna go to Buffalo Wild Wings, but apparently I don't know if it was some sort of football night. I don't know if it was like, I don't know if it was Sunday night football or some event or baseball. I don't know. Whatever it is, it was packed. And like when we went there, we were told it was going to be a 45 minutes to an hour late. We were like, nope. We went to Smash Burger. It was okay. I mean, nothing like too, oh my God, this is awesome. No, nothing like that. But it was all right. And as we were sitting waiting for our food, a bunch of people, like maybe a group of 8, came in and they took the table that was next to us, and we had overheard them. They were talking pretty loud, but like, I mean, how can you tell? So, I mean, we weren't really eavesdropping, but that's how loud they were. And they were talking about, one of them was talking about what happened at work and like how they felt this person had like a bad attitude, or they felt like they needed to check themselves, and they said that they were nearly close to beating the crap out of them, things like that. And after we ate, I remember some of us wanted to wait in the car, just, we don't want to walk anymore, let's just wait in the car. And the others, I guess, because we were near a strip mall, so I guess they wanted to go to some shop that caught their eye or needed some, whatever it was. We were waiting in the car for them. And as we were waiting in the car for them, one of my girlfriends, kind of came out and went like, hey, the conversation that the people were talking about, has that ever happened to you guys, where like you felt like someone needed to check themselves, and how did you go about that situation? Some of them have said, oh, well, it's either I'll fire back at them and make a scene, or I'll just walk away. Others have said, well, mostly I'll fire back at them and see what it's like, see how they like it. Some said that they walked away. Me, I said it depends. And it is true. It really depends on the situation. It really depends what happens. And they were like, what do you mean? And I said, well, it depends on like how the person conducts themselves. With me, like if I don't like you, I don't want anything to do with you. It's mainly because of the way you conduct yourself, and when you conduct yourself in a certain way that I don't agree with it, I absolutely want nothing to do with you. Now, if we have to work together, of course I'm going to be cordial. I'm not going to start drama. I'm not going to, start problems. But obviously, if you're going to have an issue with me, I would like to talk it out, or be empathetic, or at least, okay, try to see what's going on first before I make a point of attack. But, it depends. If it's to a point where you're, throwing steam at me, I'm going to walk away, bye-bye. Or other times, like, you know what's your problem? Do we have an issue? If it gets to that point, I will tell the OM. And they're like, like, really? Like, when did that happen? And I told them a story, and this really did happen. Like, this actually happened a couple of times. There was one time I was in high school, and I brought gloves. And I had the gloves on. They were awesome gloves. I didn't want to take them off. I thought they were neat. And this girl that was sitting right next to me, she was at the desk next to mine. And I didn't like her because the way she was vibing was bad vibes, and she had a bad attitude, and she was just one of those mean girls. And like I said, I judge a person how they conduct themselves, and she was conducting herself in a way that I was like, I don't want to be around that crap. I don't need to be around that shit. I've never spoken to this girl. I've always stayed away. And she comes out of nowhere and starts to talk to me. She goes, why are you wearing gloves? And it's the attitude that she had. She goes, why are you wearing gloves? And I said, because I want to wear gloves. Is there a problem? She goes, yeah, there's a problem. And I said, well, I can't help you there. And I ignored her ass. And after that, she never bugged me again. Because obviously, she wanted to make a scene. She wanted to start a fight. But to see that I wasn't giving her that momentum, seeing that I wasn't giving her the reaction she wanted, she left me alone. I mean, yeah, if you have a problem with me taking gloves, well, get over it. I can wear gloves what I want, And if you have a problem, well, I can't really help you with that problem. I'm not taking them off to accommodate you. They're my gloves. Have a good day. you know. And they were like, whoa, you did that? I was like, yeah. I mean, I didn't make a scene. I didn't, like I said, it all depends. Now, there was this one chick I used to work with at my other job. This chick, like, I don't know what the hell happened to her. I mean, like, we were okay. As far as I knew, there was no beefing, no nothing. And all of a sudden, her attitude changed and was like, what the hell happened to you? Okay, whatever. And I swear to you, there was one time, like, here's the thing. When you look at someone, you're looking at someone because you're trying to get their attention. Like, you wanna ask a question. And that has happened to me before with this job, I was spacing out, and this one girl, she saw me and she wasn't sure. I was looking at her to get her attention. She was like, hey, are you okay? Do you need something? I'm like, what? She goes, do you need something? Because you look like you're looking at me, but I wasn't sure. I'm like, oh no, I am so sorry. I must have spaced out. I'm really sorry. No, I'm good. Thank you though. She's like, oh, okay. That wasn't a problem. There was no problem there. There was another time where I was looking at someone and another person had asked, do you need something? I'm like, because I didn't have my glasses on, because like I can't wear my glasses there. We have to have safety goggles. And I said, I was like, you know what? Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. I didn't say what the hell are you looking at, or what the hell's your problem? Like, why are you looking at me? I didn't go like that. They asked me, hey, do you need something? Or, I just said, no, I don't. Or, yes, I do. You wouldn't happen to know how I can page maintenance to come and help me out. They're like, oh, yeah, we can help. You know what? I didn't have a problem. They asked me, hey, do you need something, or what's going? Because usually when you look at someone to get their attention, 9 out of 10 of the time you're doing it to like, because they're talking to someone, you're doing it, hey, can I borrow you? Can I ask you a question? Because you don't want to interrupt. And this chick, I don't know what the fuck was wrong with her. Sorry I cussed, but it's just like, I really didn't know what happened. So I was at that old job, and I was talking to one girl because we were like walking down the aisle to make sure everything, like, because we were pre-sort, we were make sure everything was closed up, ready to go. And we're talking to her, we're talking to each other because of the weather. And all of a sudden, the girl looks at me. She turns around and looks at me. And I turn to her and looks at me. And I look at her because it looked like she wanted to ask me a question. Like, hey, do you know? Because usually when you turn around, hey, do you know what's going on? She's looking at me. She says, why are you staring at me? And I said, I don't know. You're looking at me. Do you need something? She goes, no, I don't. Okay, then. You're looking at me like you need something. I'm sorry. But I wasn't sure if you needed something. And that's the thing. I'm going to throw attitude back at you when you throw attitude back at me. And then all of a sudden, like, everyone, we were going to this cage. We call it the cage, and we would get like our scanner, our RF scanner, And all of a sudden, everyone's talking about the storm, and I'm like, how did you guys get home? I didn't get home till like 2 hours later, blah, blah, blah. And they're saying, oh, it took me an hour, it took me 45 minutes, oh, it took me 3 hours, So we're talking about, we're all talking about how long it is. So it's not like I went in and like, oh, what about the storm? Wait, what's going on? No, it was like we all had the storm. And the girl, I wish I could say her name so badly, but I'm not. She's like, oh my God, it was so bad, And driving in the snow and ice, it's bad, When I'm driving, I radar up. I radar up to a point where, like, I have to have everything on. I have to have my hands on the wheel. I have to watch what I'm doing. There can be no ifs, ands, and buts. I'm like a deer in the headlights, just like making sure, like, everything's radar up. Like, I'm basically as if, like, I'm about to fight and I'm in trouble, That's how, the snow's no joke, especially driving in it is freaking like, oh my God, it's a challenge. It's like a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation, Because regardless of the matter, that storm was going to get worse. Whether I drove in it or I didn't, it was going to get worse. And so she was like, oh my God, that was so bad, blah, blah, blah. I never want to drive in the snow again. And I said, why? Are you scared? You're scared to drive in the snow? Because I get scared too. I mean, come on. Like I said, I radar up, And she goes off and she's like, well, I have to drive 3 hours in the snow, blah, 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 so I don't want to hear this. And it was the way she said, I'm like, what the fuck's your problem? I really wanted to go off and go, what the fuck's your problem? Why don't you watch yourself? I just asked a question. I'm sorry if you took it the wrong way, but watch yourself. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to deal with this shit no more. So I told the OM. And the OM was like, yeah, I have seen a bit of an attitude, and like to see that this is causing a bit, because it turns out I wasn't the only one talking about it. He wouldn't do it. I never see that girl again. After that, we never saw that girl again. Apparently, she had gotten a CAT or something. It was some sort of reprimand, and that reprimand is over your head for a year. And you can't go to different departments, you can't go to jobs, you can't do anything. You can't get in trouble for that. And I guess she got that for whatever reason. I'm pretty sure it's either her bad attitude or she hardly came to work. But yeah, we never saw her again. I was like, good, I don't have to deal with her ass anymore. But yeah, it all, like with me, like I said, it all depends on the situation. If it's to a point where, you know what, I don't want to cause a scene, because I've been in situations where I have stood up to myself and yet it makes me look bad when reality is no, you're the aggressor and I'm not going to tolerate that crap and I'm going to show you how, So over the years, I've learned how to pick and choose my battles. I've learned how do I go about this situation? What do I do with this situation? How do I go about this without getting physical? And no one wants to be physical because then that makes you look really bad when reality is that's not your fault. In that situation, I went to the OM, hey, do your job. This is what's going on. This is what happened. If you're not going to do anything and it gets to a point where I have to do something and I get terminated because of it, yeah, I go and sue. Big trouble for you guys, not on me. I did my part. I told you what was going on. You guys chose not to do anything. So because you chose not to do anything, it allowed that situation to heighten to a point where I felt like I needed to do what I needed to do. But yeah, that girl went away, as soon as I told her, like, wow, okay, cool. And like I said, it all depends. It all depends on how the person conduct themselves. If I went up to a line lead or some person at a job and I wanted to ask them a question and they're like obviously having a bad attitude or like they snap at me, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go ask someone else then. Okay, screw you. I'm going to ask someone else then. And if that person asks, well, why can't you ask so-and-so? I'll say, well, so-and-so has a bad attitude. I don't know what's going on with them. But if that's going to keep me, if they're not going to do their job and that's going to keep me from doing my job when I have a question and they're going to be a knucklehead about it, I'm not going to have that. I'm sorry. I have my job to do too, If I have to make sure a knucklehead does their job so I can do my job, then we have a problem. It shouldn't be like that. And of course I would say that, well, so-and-so has been in a bad mood and I don't know what's going on and that's going in between my job. So I went up to you to ask you a question. Simple as that. But yeah, like I said, it all depends on the situation. If you happen to have a bad day, okay, fine. I try to be empathetic. Like, okay, if the next day it happens again, okay, obviously you have an attitude. I'm not going to deal with that shit because I have a job of my own I need to do. So I'll go find someone else. But like I said, it all depends on the situation. I try to be empathetic. I try to look like, did I do something? No, I know for a fact I didn't do something wrong. Sorry if you took my question the wrong way, but that's on you. That's not on me. So all I gotta say is people need to check themselves. Because with me, I'm not going to tolerate that shit. I'm not going to tolerate bullshit. And I have my ways of where, like, how do I go about this without making the situation heighten when it doesn't need to be. Like I said, I picked and choose my battles. People just gotta, watch yourself, check yourself, because one of these days you're gonna pick on the wrong person. That person's gonna fire back and is gonna. I've seen those situations. Right off the bat, and it's not pretty. I've been in those situations where, you know what, you want to make a scene? Okay, I'm going to make a good scene. You want to humiliate me? I'm going to show you. They never bugged me again. But still, I try to keep away from that, I try to go like the more professional route. Okay, you know what? Let me go to HR, let me go to OM, and let me see if they fix you up. Because you're not going to like it. But yeah, some people are like, my friends were like, oh, you ratted her out? I'm like, no, I didn't rat her out. If you're the OM and your job is to make sure your team is okay, and make sure they're safe, and you don't do your job and something happens, they get terminated, and yet, they get sued, that's not on them. You guys do not do your job. They're like, yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, if someone's going to cause problems with you and you didn't do anything wrong, you do have the right to report them. And if they're not going to do anything about it, then you do have a right to sue and stuff like that. But they're like, yeah, that's true. That's not riding out. But yeah. She was probably told to check herself and she didn't like this, so she left. Fine by me. Fine by me. If I was the one that broke the camel's back, then I would rather have her get the hell out of there and cause trouble with other people. Because apparently she was causing trouble with other people too. That's just me. Oh, it don't matter to me. It don't matter. Check yourselves. Watch yourself.